to it. 619, Jon and Jim, I don't want to hear from you after a loss that it's only March or April.
What?
Every game is important. 3 exclamation points. Like, do you know who, like, our bit? Do you know who we are? Like, that's like the opposite of what we always say. Now, we're not going to say it February 23rd because it's pointless and meaningless to do it. But March 20th, I doubt when you watch us on the wrap-up show March 20th or listen to us on Jon and Jim that day, and if the Padres lose, I doubt we'll be hunky-dory about it if the Padres lose and say, well, whatever, it doesn't matter, because they all do matter, truthfully.
Well, the narrative about that was kind of thrown out the window last year when the home field for the World Series was decided by a Phillies Rangers series that was like
April,
the second week of the year.
Right.
And last year to start the season, big arguments between, me and Darren and a lot of people about it's April, who cares?
Right.
And actually it does matter. Like you said, every game matters because if 84 wins gets you into the postseason, it matters.
Right, because the Padres had 82 and we scoffed at, well, they're 0-2 at home against the Rockies. Who cares? Well, you look back and you went 2-0 against the Rockies. You're in the playoffs.
Yeah, now that team didn't deserve to make the postseason.
Right, but I mean, the point is the point, which is especially teams with little margins. Dodgers, they're going to win 100 games. So if they won 99 because they threw a game away, well, they won 99.
Yeah, their margin of error is very large.
There's a much smaller margin here. I think we all agree on that. You might think the Padres are a playoff team, but you do agree their margin is thinner than Atlanta or LA's.
Oh, way thinner.
So knowing that, one-run games important. They were terrible last year. Extra inning games important. They were terrible last year. Runners in scoring position magnified. They were terrible last year. These are the things that could be the difference for San Diego in 2024.
Yeah, we've already said we're not going to come on this show once the season starts, and if they start 1-4, say, like, that's early.
No, I'm not going scorched earth.
I'm not going scorched earth.
I'm not going scorched earth.
No. I don't mean I'm going scorched earth, Sean. I just mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and pander to the audience and the fan base if they start out 2-7. Like, it's fine. It's early.
No, I agree. I didn't say you said you would. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it is. Listen, the year's long.
It is long. A lot of things can happen.
We were very critical for most of the year, and the truth is, there were periods of time they looked like a quasi
competent team.
Yeah, not contender, but like hanging around for a postseason spot. I'll give you an example. They swept the Texas Rangers at home. They're heading into the trade deadline. They're a couple of games out. They looked quasi capable of doing it.
And then Joe got hurt. And
and then they didn't. And then in September, I'm with you. They were never really in it, but they looked like a team that you were hoping to see 5 months earlier. But no, we're not going to sit here every single day. And by the way, it's also not our job. I mean, I love when people are like, why don't you just wait to see how it plays out? Because we talk for 3 hours a day, actually more than that, about it. We can't wait to see how it plays out. People are listening to us for our opinions on the subject. So we're going to provide them to you.
And we react to every game.
Every single one of them.
We watch every pitch. We watch as much Padres baseball as you all out there listening. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to react to every game. And we know it will be like the first game of the year. But if they get swept in Korea, I mean, it's not going to be a situation where we're going to come on the next day and be like, yeah, who cares?
Right. Be like, oh, that crowd, that was special. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
Like, it's going to be a bummer. We'll talk about it, and we'll then try to forecast what's going to happen next and react to what happened in the game.
And be like, here's a good example. Hey, Darvish only went 3 innings. He only made those couple of Cactus League appearances. That could have been the difference between winning and losing the game.
Is that going to affect him to start the rest of the season?
Or interestingly, Mike Schilt went to Yuki Matsui for the first save opportunity. It didn't work out. Why Matsui? These are the things that people are going to be asking.
Yeah.
These are the questions that
we're not going to go scorched earth season over if they start 0-2 in Korea, or if they come back home and start the year,
whatever. Like they won the World Series.
Yeah. If they start 8-2, it's like the greatest start ever. But we're also not going to be sitting here and say, get your World Series tickets either.
Right.
And the same thing is going to be said if they start 2-8. We're not going to say, pack it up, season's over.
Right. Yeah.
But you will definitely hear the range of like 8-2. Nice start. Exactly what they needed to do. They needed to start out fast because after what happened last year, they couldn't afford to come out slow with a slow start this year.
Mm-hmm.
They start 2-8.
The opposite.
Yeah,
no, I agree. And like even talking about these last 2 days, 14-1 loss, 4-1 loss today in Glendale or wherever, Camelback. And again, it's not about that. Come March 20th, it's about that. Like 14-1's 14-1 March 20th. These last 2 days are about when we get to March 20th, are they going to do the things they need to do to give them the best chance to win? And by having the best chance to win, I mean have like a left fielder, center fielder, and DH.
Yeah,
and of course they those are the questions. If they lose 14-1 March 20th, that's the story. 14-1 isn't the full story. And the story is, well, Musgrove couldn't record now, and Jake Cronenworth hit a home run, whatever Yuki Matsui struck at the side. Those are the stories. They lose 14-1 March 20th. There's no, oh, well, Yuki Matsui worked the scoreless inning. It's like, what happened?
In the start last season, when they did not play well to start the year, there was a thought from everybody that this team was good enough to afford to maybe get out to a slow start or have a bad stretch, because we all thought the margin for error for that team with the talent they had on it was large.
Mm-hmm.
We thought, hey, can they lose 8 of 10 a stretch in this year and be okay? Probably, because this team is loaded. It didn't turn out to be the case. Do I think this team can afford to have that type of stretch, or maybe even prolonged longer stretch of, in this season? To be determined, but it's gonna be much more difficult. It just of what you see on paper and you see with your own eyes. And that's why I say to get out to a good start is pretty critical to me, because of the margin of error that I've been talking about. Can they win 19 of 22 games at some point in this upcoming season? I mean, sure.
Right.
But do you expect that? I expected kind of that of last year's team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you expect that of this year's team? Probably not. So that's why getting out to a fast start will help give them margin for error. So if they do go through a stretch in the season where they're losing, 10 of 13 games, right? They built up a decent amount of wins to start the year to help withstand that stretch in the season. That's why, to me, to start out, not like gangbusters, but kind of, I got to have a good start so you can withstand potentially those types of stretches in the season.
Which is why today, when we talked about their lineup, there was not one player in their lineup that would be a day one regular.
Not that I saw.
There was a backup catcher who's going to make a lot of starts.
Yeah.
You would assume, but there wasn't a day one regular. And that's why I'm not even going to concern myself with much of anything this spring other than the moves they're making to address their needs for opening day. That's honestly how I feel. We're going to get enamored with it all. You'll see people say Jackson Merrill, what a fine defensive play, or what a big hit, or Jake Cronenworth has hit 3 home runs in 5 games. And all of it has a level of relevancy. But it's, not the elephant, but kind of the elephant is how are you going to finish off the roster?
Yeah.
So you listen, Jake Cronenworth can have a nice spring and Fernando Tatis Jr. can have a nice spring, but we already know that. And maybe they don't have nice springs. I'm not concerned if Fernando Tatis Jr. only hits 1 home run in 12 games this spring. But finishing off the roster to get ready for March 20th is something every single Padre fan is thinking about and concerned about. And that's where our focus is as well after these first 2 games of the Cactus League. That's how I look at it.
And opening day here in San Diego versus the Giants, the bunting's out.
I love that.
Probably will be a sunny day, knock on wood.
Hopefully.
Got the Giants coming to town with Bob Melvin returning. You can't help but be excited. That's how I am. I know that's how you are, because it's the start of baseball season. I love opening day. Opening day is, it's one of my favorite opening days of all the 4 major sports. Basketball doesn't really have that feel. NFL, has that feel a little bit. Baseball, though, opening day in baseball just hits different. And, with this Padres team, we're all going to be excited, regardless of how they finish out this roster, regardless of how they address their giant holes in it. Come opening day here in San Diego versus the Giants, everybody is going to be pumped. The following day,
Tony Gwynn opening day,
it might hit people in the face a little bit, and then so forth as the weeks go on. Then it's okay, reality might be setting in.
The one reality that's kind of setting in for me that I hadn't thought about until the last 48 hours is, Musgrove hadn't pitched since July 28th when he was back in the mound yesterday.
Right,
and that's, you kind of knew it, but you didn't think about it in those terms. And I wasn't thinking about it heading in. And then I see he doesn't record now. And I'm like, maybe there's going to be a little bit of time. He hasn't pitched since July 28th. And then you think about Darvish, who hasn't thrown since last August.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
So, that combination, Darvish hasn't thrown since August. Musgrove hasn't thrown since July. Now, nobody is saying anything alarming about you, Darvish. No one. They're, in fact, saying the opposite. Ruben Niebla, Mike
I saw a video of him today on the mound.
Right. He's pitched, and he's had BPs, and so he's pitched. But remember, we thought maybe we'd see him in one of the first 2 Cactus League games. Hasn't happened. Kevin AC writing at this hour, and Kevin's going to join us in less than 20 minutes, that he's expected to make his first Cactus League start early next week.
Okay.
So everything is fine, but I would caution, and this is where the reality hits you. To your point, like day 2 of the regular season. The reality is...
Or week 2 of the regular season.
But no, the reality of what you're up against, 162 games and what it takes.
Yeah, it's not over after game 1.
Darvish didn't have a complete season last year and was hurt. Musgrove didn't have a complete season last year and was hurt. And like our Machado, Bogaerts, Tatis, hey, they got to be good to be good. Are these guys going to be capable of giving you 180, 190 innings when they weren't anywhere near it a year ago? You want 190 really good innings out of guys that haven't pitched in a long time. It's just, I hope they're veterans. They're capable. They've had great careers. They're still, certainly Musgrove's in his prime. You could argue about Darvish, but are they going to do that when the rubber hits the road? Are they going to be those workhorse guys for this rotation this year?
To win this year and to make the postseason, there is no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, unless you go out and trade for whoever, but that's not happening. There's no other choice, John. None. And I don't mean to be as blunt as that, but it's the truth. They don't have any other choice but those 2 guys to be really good this year. And if both of them aren't, or if even one of them isn't, then you're going to be running into some serious problems, because you don't have much backup in that rotation to withstand a bad year from Darvish or Musgrove, or even years where one of those guys missed significant time because of injury.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. You can't afford it. You need the 2022 versions of those 2 pitchers, or else, yeah. And it's as plain and simple as that. You can't get any more blunt than that. Those 2 guys, they perform, and they're top rotation pitchers. You got a shot. Right. If they don't, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's like, again, you get all enamored. It's the start of spring, and then you think about it. You're like, I watched Musgrove yesterday, and it isn't a big deal. And he said the right things afterwards, like the Dennis Lynn article. Like, it's not even really relevant, other than getting back out there and being healthy. But what is relevant, like what Dennis wrote about yesterday, is he hasn't pitched since July 28th. So it's not some normal year where he's coming off 180 innings and he was, 15-7 the year prior. No, that's not what happened. He was banged up a lot last year. And now you're asking him to be the opposite of that. You, Darvish, he was banged up a lot last year from the WBC not being used properly until he was shut down. There were highs and lows all year with you, Darvish. And I use this term all the time. I've been using it more with the Mountain West in the NCAA tournament, this threading the needle. Padres are trying to thread a needle now.
Ooh, I like that.
They're trying to thread it. Hey, Darvish has got to give us innings. Effective. Musgrove's got to give us innings. Machado, Tatis, Bogaerts have to be the guys they're capable of being. It's like you're threading here. You're drawing for one card in poker. Not really, but like you need a lot of things to go your way. Is how I'm when the reality hits me in the face. That's how I'm seeing it. I'm not saying, hey, it's all over. Musgrove only faced 4 batters. No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying the reality of it is like real. The reality of it is real, that their margins have only gotten thinner since the end of last year.
That should be the hashtag for the Padres. Hashtag thin margins.
Thin margins and like thread the needle in 24.
Thread the needle.
Yeah, we're threading the needle.
Thread the needle.
Yeah. So again, we'll see. I'm really glad spring training is shorter. We don't have to deal with all this for months. We don't. It's over. They'll go to Korea March 13th, and then we'll deal with that. It's only a couple weeks away.
Because the one thing about spring training, for the first couple weeks to start spring training, it's like baseball's back, and you start really diving in, and then
you're like the 9th game. You're like, did they play today?
You're what happened? Can this just end, please? And can we just get to the regular season? Right. So I'm with you. I'm glad that spring training is shorter this year, and that their season starts sooner than everybody else.
Me too.
Because I just want to get going. Like I just want let's go. I'm tired of the speculations and talking about this roster. Like I just want to see it. And if they perform, that's great. And we'll talk about it. But if they don't perform, then we'll kind of say not that we told you so, but like we were the ones that have been really concerned about this.
Can I give you a really interesting backdrop that you know about, but we haven't widely discussed? For a San Diego sports fan, the interesting backdrop is, correct me if I'm wrong, this has basically never happened. You're going to have Padres regular season games against the backdrop of potentially Aztec NCAA tournament
Same
games.
day?
Potentially the same day. So the season opener, of course, is at 3 a.m. There's no direct conflict, but the season opener is Wednesday. That true NCAA tournament kickoff is a Thursday, right? Everyone skips work or is, everyone's thinking about that Thursday, right? That first round day is a Thursday. Yeah, you have the first 4. Yeah. But the Padres play Wednesday and Thursday. That Thursday, March 21st, could be an Aztec first round NCAA tournament game. That's kind of unique. I mean, it's a cool day. You might have Padres Dodgers followed by, some 5-12 game or 4-13 game in the NCAA tournament. But it's like normally you'd have your attention for like a week on the NCAA tournament, but it's still spring training and nobody cares. You're a week out. But this is regular season Korea. We've been talking about this for like a year against the Dodgers.
Well, I mean, it happened last year, John.
Not opening day, it didn't.
On opening day?
No, that was well into the tournament.
Oh, I thought you were talking about just like Padres Aztecs on the same day.
Every year, Championship Monday is already opening day. Every single year.
Well, didn't they play a Final Four game?
They did.
And then
the season's been moved up. But I'm saying never have the Padres opened March 20th.
Okay.
So the NCAA tournament is always started.
So just like first round games.
Yeah, like that's no, you're right, 100%. No, yeah, national championship game. The Padres were like playing at the same time against the Rockies,
and then
Saturday
in that Final Four game, they were playing.
The gates were open.
The gates were open to watch it, and everybody watched Lamont's shot.
Yeah. So that was, and by the way,
buzzer.
That time of year, because it was the Final Four, you know what got all the attention? Obviously, was San Diego State.
Yeah, and everyone's wearing
like the Padres that first week were almost like a bit of a backdrop. Joe Musgrove's wearing Aztec jerseys. Xander Bogaerts is talking about San Diego State. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah.
This year, both will get attention, is my point. You're playing the Dodgers in Korea. It's opening day. That's a big deal.
3 a.m., man.
3 a.m. is a little early.
Oof.
How many people are going to watch this live and how many won't?
Good question. Probably a lot will watch it live. But I also think the following day, like that Thursday, like I think a lot of people will watch on Wednesday. And then Thursday, be like, you know what?
I'll watch it 7 when I wake up.
I'll just wake up at like 8 and just watch it.
And maybe not turn on my phone.